Full of math.
Full of math? Okay, well, that's good. I like that. I wish mine was full of math. Actually, it kind of was. I spent most of Saturday writing exams for you guys. You guys had my 243 and my 244. So they're posted for you guys in week 5 on the schedule page. And they're not due till week 5. You got plenty of time. They're just like quizzes. They're just like projects. Just work whoever you want to work with on them. Work with me, ask me questions. I think did I tell you guys that 243 made a Facebook page up for the class, and they've been asking questions about stuff on the page, and I'm not saying you have to do this. This is why we have email. You can do that too if you don't want to post to a Facebook page. But I guess my point is use any resource you can for the class, okay? Which I know feels weird. Make you feel like you're cheating. You're not cheating. You're using all the resources to your advantage. That exam requires you, at least in 1 or 2 places, to pop out of the exam to go use another resource. One of them is a video I made for you guys. It's a bike video. It's a GoPro on my road bike, and I'm going downhill down Iowa Street. Heads up for 2 things on that one. Number 1, there is music attached to it. It was very boring. It was like 2 minutes long, and it bored me. So I put music to keep your attention. Then I realized, ooh, what if you turn this on in the middle of a computer lab? So heads up, you might want to turn the volume down before you fire the video up. Number 2, there's an ad on it. I don't know why there's an ad on it. I didn't put an ad on that one. I was flagged by YouTube for the song that I used. Even though I wrote the song myself, and it's registered, it's my song, it's registered in BMI, and they said, you don't have the rights to the song. I'm like, pretty sure I do since I wrote it, it's about my sister. So anyway, they put an ad and they put a link to the, if you want to go ahead and buy the song, I'd love it if you did. There's a link to it at the bottom, I don't know where that came from. But just heads up, there is music, so when you fire that up, you want to just turn it down if you're in a public computer lab. It's all grade. I realized that after the fact. Once I made up the exam, it's all about grade. There's some Pythagoras in there, teeny little bit, but mostly it's about grade and using those tangent ideas, the tangent tables. The one that we used in class is dead. I wish I had saved it somewhere. I didn't. I just got so used to Google searching it, and now it was gone as of last week. So I linked another. Oh, you got it back, Amber? Oh, good. It worked.
It's on Google.
Oh, good. It kept freezing in class last week, so I thought maybe it was just gone. But good, it's still there. Excellent. That's the NASA one, right? It disappeared for a while. I couldn't hyperlink to the page, so as long as it's still there, we're happy. Good. I like that one. It's so clean. I linked another one if you want to use that one. There's also instructions in that grade extra resources to use your calculator if you want to use that. So you got choices. But yeah, that exam is all about grade, really. It's all about grade. So I am getting caught up on speaking of grade, I'm getting caught up on your grading from last week. And I'm going to try to get a progress report out to you guys today. It might not have everything in it, but it'll have some of the stuff in it at least. And then as I get more stuff graded, I'll send out more progress reports so you know what's going on. Because right now all you have is that first one from last week, which is, I apologize. Writing those exams took a long, long time. And I enjoyed them. I enjoyed it. You've got Pilot Butte tell me your name, is it David? Dave, you asked about Pilot Butte about a week ago. We got Pilot Butte in there, so we got to talk about that. Hey, speaking of which, anybody see the sunrise over Pilot Butte this morning? Holy, gorgeous. I called the Aurora Borealis. It was just pink and purple and orange. Gorgeous. We got Pilot Butte in there, answer the grade question. We've got solar eyebrows in there, which ties in the tangent/similar triangles. So if you don't know what solar eyebrows are, the exam explains it to you. And we've got Iowa Street in there. Iowa Street's the road I was just talking about with the video going down it. And there may be something else too, but I think that's pretty much it. It's not like one of those 100-question exams. It's like 3 or 4 big topics that are broken down into subparts, which I think students like better because it doesn't feel like you're racing to get something done. You're kind of embedded in, good, we got 1 9, yes, please keep doing that, I will. So you're kind of embedded in a topic for a while. So you can like knock out question 1, then take a break, go do something else, go do some writing, go do some psych homework or whatever else, and then come back and try question 2 some other time. But they're not due for middle of week 5. You got plenty of time, plenty of time. So I wanted to get them up early though, so you guys had the time to find the time to do them. I always say it that way because I know how busy you guys are. So you may have to, it may take you 2 weeks to find a half an hour to sit down if your life is anything like mine, which I'm betting it is, because I've talked to some of you guys about it. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the work you're putting in, and I want to give you plenty of time to get to that. So that's that. Projects due Wednesday? Anybody got a chance to look at it yet? Plug away, a couple of you? Good, 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 good. Don't wait till the last minute. Not because you couldn't do it in the last minute. Not because you couldn't do it in the last minute. What's the matter, Josh?
Yeah, I missed it too.
Well,
I saw the
it's been
quizzes
posted since
and
day
the
1.
project.
I'm sorry.
I just thought
Oh,
it was a
you
header
just-
for the rest of it and didn't
I
click on
gotcha.
it.
It was one of those things that was just sitting there, right. And I've had those hyperlinks since day 1. I should have said it in class last
That
week,
there
I
were
should have
three
just
separate
verbalized.
things. I clicked on the two and did them, the quiz.
Oh, the quizzes, well, good,
But I
excellent. The project, I got you. Just a matter of realizing
Kind
it's
of bummed
there.
out, yeah.
Okay, realizing it's there. And again, I try to do the verbal reminders as much as I can in class, but that's why they're posted, ready to go for you guys. So keep an eye on that. Don't think of it as a project in the normal academic sense of a project. Got some nods, people have looked at it. It's not going to require an infinitude of time to get done. I just have to call these things something. And I don't know what to call it, so I just call it a project. I mean, I call little things quizzes, I call big things exams, and I call the middle-sized things projects. I don't know if that's the best term for them. They should be called something else like a lab or a, I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you think of a better, lab would be better, maybe? But just, it's just like a middle-sized thing. So it's there.
It's just worth more points than
That's like a middle-sized thing. So what I try to do is I try to make the little things worth less points, the medium-sized things worth the 25, and the exams worth the 100, just because there's more stuff in it. And I say stuff, it's just more questions. Yeah?
What's on this project?
Actually, stuff we've been doing in class for the past 2 weeks together.
Okay.
Whenever we solve equations in class, it's just looking at them again on a more abstract scale.
So we just have our notes.
Oh, God, yeah. Remember, these are all open-ended assessments. Work with each other, It's basically, and it's all stuff you know already. That's the thing about this first project, at least. You know everything in it from your previous. In the thing that's due Wednesday, that's not worth 10 points, you know all the stuff in it already. I mean, you've been doing the math in that thing that's worth 25 points since you took Algebra 1. I mean, so there's nothing new in there as far as that goes. If it feels new, that just might be because you haven't seen it in a term or two. Or a couple years, that's possible. But you've seen it all before, and that's why I like it for a first thing that's worth 25 points. Because it's kind of a review-ish, but I've also been told by students they like the attack of explaining how to get through the question, how to solve the equation. Couple nods, good. Thank you. Oh, good, that's good. Because I think sometimes we forget that. We forget that solving an equation is like taking a Lego model apart and putting it back together. Because that's really all it is. And if you can think of it like that, which is kind of how the project comes at you. Let's call it that again. But as you see the point.
That word good.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was on the opposite end where I was so confused with you walking me through it. I
Well, you
was
can
like,
skip
what am
that.
I doing?
You can skip that too.
I ended up
That's
just putting
fine.
those papers off to the side and just doing it.
And that's good because you're the first person that ever told me that. And that's good
Deal
because
with
it
it.
means that this method doesn't work for every single person.
Yeah.
But it also means that you remember enough from previously you didn't need it anyway. Whenever I make an assessment in any of my classes, 105, 243, 244, 231, whatever classes I teach, when I'm revisiting an old topic, I assume you've forgotten everything about it before I get into it. And that might not be a fair assumption. Maybe you're completely, it sounds like you're right there. You knew it already, you remembered it all. That's great. You can skip quite a bit of that stuff then. Read exactly what you need. Or not at all, just skip right to the end and get to the parts that say points and knock those out. But, that's why I put it all there. That way it's there if you need it. Because I know, like I said, how busy you guys are. And the internet is a wonderful place and it's got all the help you'd ever need. But sometimes finding the quality help can be tricky. So I try to put as much as I can in front of you by linking those extra resources and putting it directly into the things that are worth 25 points. So, please,
Are we?
Elizabeth,
Christina.
where's
Send
Elizabeth?
a letter writing.
I think it's the length of the name.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
exactly.
Yes, go ahead, Christina.
Are we going to go over the worksheet that you handed out? Or
Similar triangles, the examples we put on the board. I'd like to start with those for
Okay,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I want to talk about this stuff first, get out of the
Yes,
way.
no, it's fine.
But yeah, and
Sure.
yes, I wanted to start with that. And then originally my plan was to take you guys outside and do some shadow measuring. But as we look outside, I mean, it's a beautiful day. It's early and there's plenty of clouds, which makes the shadows kind of hard to see. And I figured I can just explain to you briefly what we're going to do. And kind of, again, when I was making the exam or that thing's worth 100 points on Saturday, rather than dragging you outside and then dragging you back up here today, I included that problem on the exam that does essentially what we were going to do anyway, which is using the sun to do some mathematics. So we'll take a look at it today in the examples, and we'll walk you, because I think we had three, one of each of the three situations. I want to get into those. And again, this will help you with your pride thing for Wednesday, because you'll be solving equations. You'll be solving equations. And that first one is all about solving equations, honestly. I don't want this to be an algebra class. I don't. I don't want it to be an algebra class. But we did a little teeny tiny bit of algebra. It's funny, I read an NPR article on Friday, somebody forwarded it to me, and they said the case against algebra, or something like that. And it was this movement that's going on in the United States right now to create what's called a non-STEM pathway for college students. Have you guys heard STEM? STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. You remember the Cold War? You don't remember the Cold War, you're too young. Cold War in the 1980s. Okay, some of us do. Remember Sputnik? You've heard of Sputnik?
Yes.
Right? The space race. We've got to beat the Russians into space. We've got to beat the Soviets, because it was the Soviet Union back then, right? 89, the party was over, but in 1980 and before that, the party was strong. And there was this show of force. Who could get the first person? It was man back then, too, the first man into space. And then who can land the first person / man on the moon. And it was this race back and forth and back and forth. And it was all about getting as many students through school into engineering, into astronaut suits, into science, into physics, into astronomy. And where all those courses start? What math course do all those start?
Algebra.
They all start in algebra. That's how math 60, 65, 95, and 111, that's what they're designed to get you into a calculus class. That is the point of those classes, is to get you into a calculus class. And when I got here and realized that, I'm like, time out, this is 2004 when I got here. The Cold War's over, Russia's beat us to space, they got the first man in space. I said, we might have beat them to space.
We did.
But they got the first man in space, and the first dog before that. We got the first chimp, but they got the first man. We got the first man on the moon. First 3 men on the moon, I believe. So the space race is, and the Soviet Union dissolved. I mean, they're gone now, although Putin's doing his damn, well, never mind, we'll get back to it. Time for another talk. But the idea is, we no longer need the number of engineers, scientists, physicists that, I feel almost a heretic saying this out loud. We need more people that can understand news, that can data mine, that can check, that can look for patterns, that can understand when a piece of news comes across your desk if it's full of crap or not, right? Unemployment rate's up! Is it? Let's check. Let's see. It might, see, that's the question. I'm being skeptical, not negative. I'm not saying, no, it's not. I'm saying, maybe it is, maybe it's not. Let's go check. And that's kind of what I've designed 105 to do. But even though it's primarily a stat class, it's going to be by the time we're done, a little teeny tiny bit of algebra is always very helpful for looking at patterns, because that can help us, patterns can help us describe the behavior of a data set, which we'll start looking at today once we do these similar triangle problems that Christine asked for. So, it was interesting that came across my desk Friday, something I've been talking about for a decade now. I'm like, okay, the rest of the world's kind of catching up. And we're going this weekend coming up, no, I'm not going, Jessica's going, to Salem to meet with all the community colleges and the OUS schools to nail down exactly what should be in Math 105. And I had to share this last bit with you. We had a meeting on Friday after I read this NPR article. I was just like so tickled. And the first comment, this bummed me out. 600 plus comments on this article, most of which were on the lines of, I can't believe you're talking about dumbing down mathematics. Ooh, that's not what the article says. It says we need an alternative path to to calculus-based mathematics. It didn't say anything about making it easier. It said makes the aim different. And what I did was I posted a math problem I gave my 243 kids into that comment. Not one person has tried to solve it yet, because it's an exceptionally challenging problem. It's an exceptionally challenging problem. You'll solve it in my 243 if you take 243 with me. It's one of my favorite problems. If any of you have chickens in your backyard, it's dealing with salmonella in chickens and finding salmonella in chickens if your chickens have it. And chances are 1 in 10 do, according to the CDC. So it uses statistics to analyze how much you can expect to pay if you're a large commercial operation to pay on salmonella testing if you do it the most intelligent way. It's a very tricky problem. Not tricky, it's not tricky. It's a very time-consuming problem, but once you break it down to its component pieces, you're not doing anything more than multiplication, which is totally rad, and adding. I mean, count that too. But that this belief that if it's not calculus, it's too easy is pervasive. And we're trying to show them that it's not too easy. It's actually very, very challenging, as you guys will see as you go through this course. Yeah, Drew.
Well, the argument for why they're pushing mathematics so hard is because there are other countries in Europe, for instance, that really, really push mathematics, and actually their seniors getting out of high school actually have something equivalent to like a post-calculus education in America.
Is that better than a post-statistics education?
Not necessarily.
And is there something
argument
besides the math they're taking doing that? There was a study done in 1996 called the TIM study, Third International Math and Science Symposium. Went into, I think it was 46 different countries, including Sweden, Germany was my favorite to watch, Germany, China, Singapore, Japan, United States, and they videotaped all the aspects of the course, including the math itself. And as it turns out, it's not just the math, it's the culture that you're in, right?
It's a culture thing for them,
right.
for sure, because they're
sure.
known for it. They're known for their engineering.
Yes, yeah, sure, but also they value education.
They value logical education.
Well, which is a huge part of math, right?
Yeah.
What's the first thing that gets cut in the United States when money's tight?
Music.
Well, education in particular, but maybe the arts for sure fall out before science.
Yeah, that's why-
But education gets cut first. We don't value education like the European countries do. And, I mean, there's all kinds of, political reasons for that. But I do appreciate what you're saying, and it's true. We always fall in the bottom third as far as, testing, although I disagree with the way they test, too. But logical discourse is one of those things. You guys may have noticed I put a logic section into 105. It was an idea I had over the summer. I'm like, ooh, that might be a fun thing to talk about in this course towards the end, when you're kind of getting tired of probability, and swing it back to just pure logic and discourse. So yeah, I appreciate that. It's tricky. It's tricky.
I spent a lot of time with a German family.
Ja, sicher, klar.
Like the dad was an engineer for aeronautics, and the son is going into mechanical engineering, and
Yes.
the daughter's going into biological engineering. It's a
If
culture.
you want an engineer, go get a German. Ein Deutscher. Yeah. You want a German engineer. What is it? There's an old heaven is where all the cooks are Italian, all the lovers are French, and it's all run by the Germans. Hell is where all the cooks are Germans, the lovers are whatever, and it's all run by the Italians. And that's if you want if you want orderly stuff done, get a German to do it. But that's not to say that that's the be all and all.